This is the birthplace of Ulysses S. Grant, the Supreme Commander of the Union Army in the Civil War and the 18th President of our United States. His first home has been a museum for more than 70 years, and for more than half that time, one dedicated woman has cared for it.
My name's Loretta Furman, and I have worked here at the Grant birthplace since 1966, 46 years this year. I feel as if I'm related to the Grant family. When they lived here, his father worked for a man by the name of Thomas Page, who owned the tannery, where our church is located up on the corner. And he rented this house to Grant's father for $2 a month rent.
A tannery's where they turn animal skins into leather for things like shoes. You can see a pair made by Grant's father.
And I'd like for you to notice the little wooden pegs that were used to have soled the shoe, and all the extra nails that kept the edge of the heels from wearing down from on the sides, because they were passed in the family from one to the other as they were outgrown.
Now, Grant's family quickly outgrew their one-room house, and his dad wasted no time moving and setting up his own shop.
Grant was only 11 months old when they left this little house to move to Georgetown, Ohio. And he grew up in Georgetown and entered West Point from there.
The Grant family took all their belongings to Georgetown. The people who run that historic site returned one original piece of furniture, the chest in the corner.
The floors, however, the wood is the original wood that was here when the Grants lived here. The windows are the original windows. And then the door going out to the back room was their back door when the Grants lived here.
The rest of the pieces are from the time period, like the bed. Loretta likes to show visitors there's no mattress or box springs, just some rope and straw.
That's where the story, "Sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite," came from. Because the rope was tightened every day, and that's where sleep tight came from. And when they changed the straw in the mattress about once every 6 months, they would get the straw from the barn or the field, and there'd be insects in the straw. And that's where the bed bug part came from. Now, the ladies of the household would also put dried herbs, the fragrant ones, with the straw in the mattress, and that warded off the insects.
Working the spinning wheel gave us another expression.
Years and years ago, when the women would spin on the spinning wheel, there used to be a spool that fit on this spindle, and it was called a weasel. And when they spun and spun, and the spool filled up, it popped. And that's where the saying, "Pop goes the weasel," come from.
Loretta's favorite piece of furniture is the Mammy Rocker.
And it was made around 1865. The mother would sit at this end and lay her baby behind the railing, and thus she could rock and sew or mend or read or whatever without the baby falling. And if company came, the little railing lifted off and gave him extra seating room.
2 other rooms were added later, and after Grant died, the original room was taken out on a tour across the country.
And they took this little house up and down waterways to the United States for people to come and see the president's birthplace. And then, of course, they took it to Columbus, and they built a large stone glass building around it to protect the house, because people started breaking off pieces and this and that of the house and taking it for souvenirs. So the government decided to build this large brick building around it with glass so people could see through to see the building. And then they decided to bring it back here and opened it into a museum in 1936 for the public to go through and visit. And it's been this way ever since. We just have some fascinating things that belong to the Grants. The locket that's in the glass case contains a piece of hair, a locket of hair, that belonged to Grant. And when he passed away, Mrs. Grant clipped it and put it in her locket and wore it around her neck. I think they should make sure to see the cigar case that was given to Grant, which is made of mother of pearl in Scotland when he visited Scotland. And then we have the wonderful case that he carried his papers and documents in. Of course, we know he didn't carry it, but it belonged to the president. And then we also have his signature on letters back there. That's wonderful, and you should see those also.
You can learn the story behind Grant's name in a separate video, along with information about his life, a part of history that draws people to his birthplace from all around the world.
South Africa is the farthest that I can remember, Cape Town from Africa. And then I've had people from over in Scotland and England and Germany and Belgium and France, all over the place. And I think my picture is everywhere in the world because people say, do you mind if I take your picture? Well, whether you do or not, they take your picture and it goes home with them, so you don't know where it is.
You should also take your camera down the street to check out the Grant Memorial Bridge and Park, where you'll find picnic tables and restrooms. A picturesque spot that's packed with history.
And I think it's well worth your time to come visit and see these things that belong to the Grant family.